this, you see this, you see this. Don't look there. You see this, you see this. So there is complete control. So that communication is very much you decide, because you are the chief in command of how that information gets across. So whenever you have detail, build it up with animation. PowerPoint is a great thing to do with animation. You can build up a lot of things. You can even make it interesting because there's movement in your slides. Okay? So I think that's really wonderful to do. If you can use a lot of visuals, okay, try less words, less words, use pictures. And the words come out of here, not on the slide. Okay? Please, I beg you, I go on my knees, don't read off slides. Don't tell me what's on a slide. If there's stuff written on a slide, don't read what's on a slide. If you can, talk it through. If you talk it through, it shows you know what you're saying, and you can picture, you have a graph. I just saw a student up there showed me some graphs of a project he's doing, and I was seeing it's part of a report with lots of words, and naturally he's got to have that report with lots of words. But in a presentation, you don't need the lots of words. You need the lots of words up here, coming through here, and all he needs is the graph. And the graph, he can even animate some areas, which he was showing me at nighttime when consumption is such, of what he wants to say. So do not put them as bullet points. Fill the whole slide with the graph. Show the graph, show the visuals, and use your words to be able to describe what you want to say on a lovely colored visual. The most boring presentations is when you see words, bullet points, bullet points, bullet points, and sometimes all the slides are the same. They're all in the same format. So, you know, it's an experience. You need to give me an experience seeing your presentation. I need to remember your presentation. I'll bring you the example of last Friday. I had 16 presentations. I need to come away from those 16 presentations, 3 hours, of remembering 3 maybe out of 16. Why do I remember 3 out of 16? Because they did something different. They gave me a better experience than some others. That's all. The experience was a pleasant experience. Can you imagine seeing a presentation when you're falling asleep? Can you imagine if me, the lecturer, notices people asleep and I continue lecturing? Whoa. That, to me, is the biggest, you know, I would, first of all, I'd make a huge joke and probably grab something and throw it at someone and, you know, make a joke. But, you know, to me, it's, you're just saying, you have failed as a presenter. And if you're seeing people who are not focused, you have failed as a presenter. You're either boring, you either can't speak loud enough, you either have the same tone of voice throughout, you either have a boring presentation. All these things, there's my mobile vibrating here. All these things, sorry about that. All these things affect attention. So be aware. First of all, the practice on a presentation is, do show it to third parties, okay? Do a presentation, do show it to a third party, do show it to a friend. Let me take you through it, let me test. So never go on the day to actually test it in front of people before you've tested it, okay? It's the same things, you know, you're testing out with a sample of something and you have your sample people who you tested to make sure it's good, and then when you've tested it, everyone says, okay, it looks good, then you go to the big audience. So do that. You have loads of friends, I hope, around here, who will help each other, and you can go through this. In relation to throwing the rope to the audience, I think one of the biggest things which can grab attention to people is that you try and involve them in a presentation, okay? So if you find opportunities, I'm not too sure if you have opportunities whenever you have presentations, but if you have opportunities, please get your audience to say something. Don't have it a one-sided delivery. So if you have 3 professors and you say, we had this, and this is the results we had. And, you know, I was just wondering, any one of you, of yourselves, you know, the 3 professors, experienced this aspect in relation to the studies you did? I mean, you know, if I was a professor, I'd say, what the hell is this guy saying? This guy's a student, I'm the professor. But it shows you've actually directed a question to me to get a reaction. And I must say, as soon as you get an audience involved, that presentation will probably be remembered much more than if you did not involve the audience. So if it's always one-sided, there's many presentations which are always one-sided coming through. If you get a presentation where you actually get someone to involve himself and say something, then you will gain points in retention, memory retention of that presentation. Okay? So small clues, small bits and pieces, and then the nonverbal. I use the nonverbal a lot in presentations. The eye contact, yes. I see it in students who suffers with a lot of eye contact and people who don't. So the eye contact, I've tried to look at every person in this audience. I have tried to. How many presentations do you have where the people I'm speaking to are the people here? And, you know, I will never, ever look at the 3 guys sitting in the front row on my left-hand side. And they would be spending 45 minutes with me not even addressing them. I'm speaking out to the audience, but all I'm interested in is the easiest area of eye contact, which is central, and that's all. And I forget about the lady in pink at the top of the class with the glasses covering her face as she smiles, and the man with the tie, very smart man on the front row. So, you know, this is my audience. You need to touch everyone in the audience. It could be a group of 3. 3 is easy because you manage. The larger the group, you need to touch everyone. Okay? This helps a lot in relation to you touching the eyes of everyone. The eyes say a hell of a lot. Okay? The voice also. I also like to use the example, I don't remember it, my time, it was probably the time of my parents where you get these singers coming out and the singers stand really solid and they never used to move and it used to be a song which was sung like this. And nowadays, you know, you have a group called the Rolling Stones, yes, which is, we're talking about 60 plus. I saw them in San Francisco 3 years ago. Amazing stuff. I couldn't stop looking. I got fed up. I got tired looking at Mick Jagger move, run across the stage, do everything, kept me involved. Okay, so, you know, the more I don't move in a presentation, even if it's small in a classroom, you actually move around. Okay, keep that movement around because it shows that at least the attention span, it's not only the voice, the eye contact, but even the movement helps. Be very careful, because I noticed this in people. Sometimes you have, I'm not sure if you get people telling you this stuff, but sometimes you have a physical movement which you tend to repeat very often, which you don't realize, but people realize. Sometimes you get trapped by saying the same word sometimes, okay? It's the same word which gets repeated sometimes. And sometimes you, and we talk about sometimes, and you don't realize because you fall and use that word. And you know what I'll be saying when I'm here in presentation? I'll be like, I need to get my pad out and I need to tick how many times this guy's going to say the same word. And it's like, will he manage to hit 100? You know? So this is what, and engineering it's like, so he's done 60 in the first minute, he's done 60 in the second minute, so if, you know, stay here long enough. So, you know what I mean? And you don't realize these things. Now, if you have good friends, if you have sincere friends who want to help you guys, they will say, try to cut that word out. Try to cut the funny movement with the arm that sticks out every time you say something. okay?